Howdy. Welcome to Friday special edition of Elektron Talk, Syntakt style. Today we're going to be doing a Syntakt Ambient tutorial. What kind of prompted this is I've gotten a lot of questions on how I did this Syntakt Ambient Bliss video that I released on the same day that the Syntakt was released. I was fortunate enough to be a beta tester for the Syntakt and made some ambient music with it, as well as some like alt rock and some techno and some other tracks. But a lot of people wanted to know how I did some of the sounds that I designed on the Syntakt, and I'm going to go over that right now. So we're going to kind of recreate that track, and it's going to be kind of a Bob Ross experience here. As you can see, I'm bringing my mustache back. In preparation for playing Nam. I need to go to LA with a mustache or I'll just fail miserably. So how's everybody doing? It is Happy Bubbly Friday. We don't have LaCroix because once again, of course, they haven't sponsored me. We still love them, but today we're supporting Pellegrino. So if Pellegrino is interested in sponsoring these streams, you should do that. But actually, we do have a stream sponsor, so let's talk about that real quick. Today's stream is sponsored by DistroKid. We love DistroKid. I use DistroKid. Everybody I know who uses any sort of service to get their music out on different platforms uses DistroKid. We're going to jump into one of their cool features a little bit later in the stream. But yes, we like them very much. Thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring the stream. All right, let's get into it. The Syntakt. Look, it's all we have on the table. Look how beautiful and clean this is. Perfect for making ambient music, of course. The default kit that you get with the Syntakt, not good for making ambient music at all. Let's get this dog hair out of here. That will be useful. So, one of the coolest sounds that I found for making ambient music that the Syntakt can do for you with this sequencer starts with noise. And I thought a really great sound for ambient is ocean waves on the shore. There's something really soothing about that sound of the waves coming up onto the shore and leaving the shore. And that's something that you can do pretty easily on the Syntakt. And I'm going to show you how to do that. What we need to do first is extend the length of our pattern. We don't want our patterns to be 16 steps long, and we want different pattern lengths for different tracks, because some of these tracks I'm going to use at double speed, some of them I'm going to use at quarter speed, some of them I'm going to use at half speed to achieve our ambient goal. So function plus page, function yes, to make it a per track scaling, and then we're just going to go ahead and give it 64 steps because that's our max resolution that we can have, but we actually want to change the master length. So I'm going to hold function and turn H because it'll move in steps of 16. And we're just going to bring it up to 128 for this. We could go further than that, but I think 128 is going to be enough because it starts to be difficult to manage the resolution after you go past 8 bars. But with trig conditions and depending on the tempo, it's not really going to be a big deal for us here. So now that we have our kind of default pattern stuff set up, we can move over to making our beautiful ocean sounds. And yeah, we're gonna do that. Start with the fake ARP. We are gonna do the fake ARP. That's actually gonna be number 2, step 2. So we're gonna start with the ocean and then we'll move on to fake ARP. Yeah, I don't know why there's no ARPs on the Syntakt. I think it's partly because they want you to buy an analog 4 and a digatone. But yeah, we could really use an ARP. It would be awesome. Just a MIDI ARP would be great, honestly. But anyway, let's get into this tutorial. So here we go. We're going to use track 12. I'm already selected on it. We're going to use track 12 because I find track 12 to be, frankly, my most unused track. So I want to use the noise engine, and I'm going to put it on track 12 because we're not going to be using the cymbal engine for our ambient music. I'm sure there's some cool cymbal sounds, some shaping with those engines we could use to make ambient sounds, but that would take a lot of time for us to dive into that and fool around there, and I haven't done that quite yet, so I don't want to waste your time doing that. But I will waste your time with this awesome ocean sound tutorial. So we're gonna hit function and press synth, and we're gonna scroll down to utility noise. Utility noise is awesome. This is a tool you should use all the time. Right off the bat, it will sound like a drum sound. Hopefully you guys can hear that all right. I know that there is a bit of, you can hear me clicking on here. That's not part of the sound. Here, I'll do it quietly. There you go. So what we don't want is that transient. There's that transient there. The transient is that initial burst of sound at the beginning of your sound. We don't want a transient at all because we're not trying to make drums. We're trying to make beautiful waves lapping at a sandy shore. So what we want to do is actually go over in our synth section here and give this some attack. And right off the bat, you're already going to start feeling it being more of what I was aiming for. It's a little short, so we need to give it a longer release. So we're going to increase the decay. And this gets a little loud, so I'm already going to just go right into the low pass filter. So here we are with our nice ocean sound. We can make it a little longer. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So I want this pattern. It's already 64 steps. I think that's actually going to be enough for us. But we need to edit our reverb and our delay before we go too much further, because I do want to soak this ocean shore in reverb. So I'm going to hold function and hit amp, and we're going to change our reverb settings. By default, the reverb settings are very weak, is the best word I could call it. It's not a big reverb, it's a shorter tail reverb. And it does a little bit of high pass filtering, which is good, but we don't need too much high pass filtering for what we're doing. We're more going to be playing with low pass filters for the most part, because ambient sounds are very soft and warm. So I am going to filter the reverb a little bit on the low pass side, and we're going to give it a huge decay. Ambient sounds really big. You can't go all the way to max because it will go to infinite decay, which means that a sound will drone forever. And we're not doing drones, we are doing ambient. So let's also go over to our delay section here, function filter, to go into our delay, make it ping pong, get that nice stereo width. And then let's bring up that stereo width so that those ping pongs go really far left, really far right. Bring up the feedback to about 85. We don't want to go too much higher than 85. There will be a feedback from your delay, and we don't want that. So the time we might actually want to make longer, but for now we'll leave it on its 48, which is the default setting. If you hold down your window button here, it will tell you the values on the screen. For this one, to look at this, because it's a secondary menu, you have to hold function, then hit the button, and then it will show you those values. So if you're ever curious on what number you have hidden under there, this is how you check that. All right, so actually let's send a little bit of the delay into the reverb too. I think that'll be pretty useful for us. So let's put down a trigger for our ocean sound. Sounds great. I'm gonna pan it pretty far to the left. We'll do another trigger later, pan it to the right. So let's go pan this. Not all the way, but pretty far. Cool, and let's soak it in some reverb. I know that might be a little quiet for everybody, so I will turn this track up, but for me it seems like it's loud enough. There's not a compressor or a limiter on the Syntakt right now to keep its volumes where it's easy for everybody to hear, but if you're following along at all, you're gonna hear a very nice ocean sound. I'm gonna go to the LFO, and I want this LFO to go very slowly. We're gonna be using slow LFOs for pretty much everything in this ambient tutorial. I do wanna use the sine wave, and I do want a free running LFO, so a lot of these settings I don't really have to adjust. I'm gonna hold function, bring the speed down to 16. It's a very manageable speed when it's the multiplier times 1, so it'll be 16 steps for the LFO to work, and which is great for us. And we're gonna target our filter frequency in the synth section. Here we go. Let's target that low pass filter. So we're targeting this low pass filter. We only want to modulate it barely, just a little bit, because we don't want it to open it too wide. We just want to have the waves sound different every time they come in. So just mildly different. So we'll put that one there. I'm going to copy that step. We'll just use those same values and adjust them. We'll put another one here, and we'll pan that over to the right. But we're going to change its filter settings quite a bit. Maybe we'll give it some high pass filter. Cool. So what we have so far is this. Yeah, $900 wave generator. It's actually more like $1,100 wave generator, Calderwood. But it's pretty cool that it can do the wave generation. So that's going to be it for the wave generation. This is just a nice way for you to get some like nice washy sounds as you're starting your ambient track with your Syntakt. This is something you can't do easily on a digatone, but it is something you could do easily on a digitact, because the digitact has it has noise files that you can turn into waves very easily, just the same as this. All right, so here we go. As Nick said, let's please do the fake ARP tutorial, and that's going to be the next part. So we're going to now create an undulating ARP. It's going to come in, and then it's going to fall out. It's going to come in, and it's going to fall out. There's going to every once in a while going to be a dog barking. It's very ambient to have dog barks in the background because it's real. Dogs are real, if you didn't know. So here we go. We're going to go to the next track. I'm going to use we'll use track 11. So we're going to use a analog synth engine for this one. So function, I guess we'll just leave it right on the dual VCO. Let's go into our keyboard. You know what's a great idea would be for us to use a keyboard scale. It's just going to make this go very easily. We're going to be able to move along very quickly if this is all in scale. And then we can adjust things chromatically on the step sequencer. But for the keyboard, we'll just be able to kind of mash notes and it's going to work. And you know what? Ambient music is a really cool art form, but it can also be something that can be very easy to make with quantizers. And if you're familiar with making ambient music in Eurorack, I find Eurorack really lends itself to making ambient music with some quantizers and just some random gate generators and some random pitch sequencers and a big reverb and delay. It's a no-brainer. Fortunately, we have 2 LFOs per track and a robust step sequencer, so this is going to be more than ample for us to generate any kind of ambient music. So, we're not going to use the chromatic scale. I don't know, we could use EZBOT. I don't think I want that one. Mixolydian, harmonic minor. I do think harmonic minor will sound pretty cool. So let's use harmonic minor. We can leave it on C. It doesn't really matter. So we'll just leave it on C. So C harmonic minor. We'll see how this turns out. We can always adjust it later. But now let's make this sound like a nice warm pluck, analog pluck. So I'm going to filter it down, give it some envelope depth. Play with these waveforms. We're just going to use a sawtooth wave, so we'll just switch over to listening to only one waveform. That'll work. Okay. So now what you do with the ambient ARP tutorial, I guess just the ARP tutorial, it doesn't have to be for ambient, is we're going to fill up a page with steps. We're just going to do 16 steps. We'll leave it the way it is. You can do less steps if you want. The whole tone scale. No, I don't want to do the whole tone scale. Changing the root note will offset where the keyboard starts, and it'll just offset where the keyboard starts. Nick. All right. We don't actually want to hear anything when we press on the keyboard for the fake ARP, but it's something we can adjust later, so we can use it right now to just... That could be cool. All right, so let's just put some steps in. We could go into the step the step record standard mode for placing these steps. It actually makes it pretty easy with this keyboard. So you just hold record and hit stop and it will open that up for you. Now we can just pick some notes. Some of those notes were like the same note even when I was hitting steps. That's because the oscillator actually couldn't go up any higher, I think. Actually, that's pretty cool sounding so far. So now that we have a sequence in our step sequencer on this analog track, we're gonna really bring this frequency down on our filter. And we're gonna bring the envelope depth down to silence. So we bring this all the way down then. So we can't hear it. We're gonna go over to our LFO. Whoops, just go over to our LFO, and we're gonna choose the filter envelope depth. And we want it to be at 16, 1 multiplier. And we can use a triangle for this. And just start bringing this up. Also, give it a bunch of reverb and delay. It'll start fading in. So that's pretty nice. And that's just kind of with a random note set up on our step sequencer here. I just was mashing the keyboard in a quantized keyboard, and that just makes it really easy for you to make beautiful ARP textures. So what is happening here, the reason why it's coming in and out is what we did is we took a synthesizer and we brought the filter frequency down to so low that it was inaudible because it had filtered out all the frequencies that we were able to even listen to. Frequencies that are probably available to listen to are moving so slowly that we're not actually able to perceive them. Then with the LFO at a very slow rate is bringing up that envelope depth, which is starting to cut through in our low pass filter, allowing us to hear our synthesizer once again. And it sounds very nice, and with the reverb and delay on top of it, it creates this like ebb and flow, especially with the free running LFO. So now, a good place to go to next would be the chord synthesizer. That's already set up on track 7, so we might as well just play right there. Just hear how this sounds when the ARP comes in. These chords sound nice. It's just a minor chord. We find something a little spicier. So right now I'm just making this chord just a little more smooth sounding, because we're gonna just use it as a bed. It's gonna we're gonna modulate it so that it kind of flows around. I might change the notes of that ARP because it sounds a little too exciting, and I don't want it to be so exciting. Oh my gosh, I just realized we didn't finish with the ARP. It's supposed to be moving a whole lot faster. So here we go. Let's go back to track 11. We actually want to double the speed on the ARP. There we go. So it's supposed to move super fast. Let's see. There it is. That's the ARP we're after. I taught Elektron how to use the Syntakt. There we go. That's what I was after. I'm so sorry that I made you wait to get to that crescendo of the tutorial. So let's see. We may have to change the notes. I don't know. I don't know yet. We're gonna figure it out. This is a live tutorial, so we get to experiment. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mess with this chord, then we're gonna go back and adjust the notes to fit with the chord. So the ARP will stay the way it is, but we're just gonna adjust some of those notes because I think I like this chord and I like how it sounds when I modulate the balance. And this is a lot about how I do sound design too. A great way to do sound design on any of these Elektron boxes is to create a sound and then just start like physically modulating a sound with your hands. Turn the knobs, like try and do it to the beat if you can. Do it quickly, do it slowly, do it in odd and even times and see how it sounds to you. And if you find something that you like, record it into the automation or create an LFO that will mimic what you were doing with your hand. I like to record things into automation. I think that's a really powerful feature in any groove box is just to hold record, hit play and just start turning knobs. It's gonna record it for you in a way that sounds quite pleasant because it'll be stepped. Sometimes stepped recordings don't sound as pleasant as you'd like, but they do on the Elektron boxes for the most part. We'll just use this C minor add 9. And we're, of course, gonna modulate the oscillator balance because it sounds real nice. We're gonna modulate the filter frequency and the oscillator balance. Or no, we'll do oscillator balance, we'll hand modulate, record in the filter frequency, and then we'll modulate the panning, maybe? All right, we'll see when we get there. All right, here we go. Synth, oscillator balance. I mean, that sounds perfect already. Okay, let's put a step down. Let's just have this step go for 64 steps for the time being. And maybe we'll add another chord that it like moves into. But for right now, this will be fine. But I do need to go and mess with this sequence really quick. So I'm gonna delete that and go. And I have to bring up this filter. I think we're gonna go with Ionian. We're gonna go with that major scale because it just lends itself to ambient music really well, and we'll just add some accidentals in ourselves. So let's just do this. We'll just live record me hitting a couple of notes until it fills up the whole frequency, or until it fills up the whole sequencer, not frequency. Why is that putting in the same notes right there? Turn up this chord a bit more. I want this synth chord to like get really wide, so we're gonna modulate the pan. Back over here. Check on this guy. Okay, let's open that back up again. Okay, let's try that again. Whoops, not clear the config. All right, let's clear this one out again and just go. We'll cheat and just bring this up an octave. Oh man, it recorded that. Wait, no it didn't. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna do something else. We're gonna make it so the ARP comes in on the left and leaves on the right side. So we're gonna start with the pan all the way to the left, and go a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. And then right here, it's gonna hit the center and start going that direction. Go. All right, we're gonna give this a little bit of attack. There we go. Copy this step. I hear a little click that's happening every time the chord oscillator is re-triggered. I hate clicks. I hate pops and clicks. The Syntakt sometimes struggles with that. Same with the digatone. It's a synthesizer. It's frustrating that it does, but it is what it is. To avoid this, I'm gonna have this chord synthesizer trigger less times and just hold the note for longer. So I'm gonna I've actually copied the step, I delete the step, we're gonna make this 64 steps long. In fact, we'll just make it half scale, and then we'll make this trigger go for 8 bars. That way that the click will pretty much be eliminated by doing that. So here we go, 128 steps. Here we go. All right, now I know what we need is, we are gonna need something random. So random. The clicks on that ARP, I don't know what to do about it. It just is what it is. We're gonna have to move on from there. All right, we're gonna go over to another analog track because I'm gonna make something huge bass come in, just sweeping bass type sound. I suppose I could answer some chat in between us making this sweeping bass. I might sell my modular and get something like the Syntakt, I don't know. I mean, maybe. That's not the... I have a lot of modular too, so I'm not one to talk, but I definitely use my Syntakt a whole hell of a lot more than I use the massive amount of modular I have. There's no doubt about that. When compared to the A4 or the OT, it's a quick learn, a few happy, joyous weeks tweaking and saving cool sounds. Absolutely true, hysteric subjects. That is a fact. Would be cool to create a sound pool of different machines and have an LFO randomly select different machines every step. I think that's doable. It is not doable. Well, how would you have the LFO select different machines? That's not a modulation source, it's machine choice. So, unless you filled the step sequencer with sounds that you had saved different machines to, that's already capable. That's already possible for sure. And then you could have the LFO adjusting their filters or something. But to actually adjust, another thing you could do is, you know, change the resolution of your step sequencer. 128 steps. Have it move really slowly and use microtiming to put 2 steps on each step, and then give them a random chance. But then have one of them set to not trigger whenever the other one does trigger. So you're getting these like randomized triggers, but some consistency. That could be cool. I don't know. All right, here we go. We don't want a kick drum. Let's play with the raw engine, because why not? We want a long attack for this. Pretty long release too. Yeah. Okay. You see where I'm going with this? We're making this really thick, warm pad sound that's gonna lie underneath our ocean waves and our arpeggiator and our modulated chord sound. Then we're gonna add some random plucks after this, that just to the sprinkle on top. And then from that, you're pretty much done. I mean, after that, you just, make it longer. Maybe you could duplicate the pattern, make some adjustments, put it into a song mode, and just let it play through. Record it onto Ableton or Bitwig, master it, get it onto your different distribution platforms. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna make this one much longer, and we're gonna go half scale. So we're gonna find some steps we like. We're gonna use the C, of course. So we'll just put one down here, make this trigger pretty long. We'll do like 16 steps. We're gonna play with the LFO to open up that filter for us too. So we'll do one there. Maybe we'll take it down an octave. Okay. We'll go. Copy that. Copy that. Let's get that really low E in there. That filter frequency going really slowly. Have it retrigger. Maybe we'll just have it be a ramp so it just opens it up for us really slowly. Let's see how it turned out. I do want to pan them a little bit, I think, too. We'll pan this one a little bit to the left. This next one a little bit to the right. This next one farther left. This next one further right. Let's just see how this tastes. It's actually moving through the sequence too quickly. We're gonna go down to quarter scale, which means our master length would have to be 256 steps, so why not? Why not? I said not to do it at the beginning, but we're gonna do it anyway. Because I'm a liar. And you know what we can do? We can take this whole mix and run it into our effects section and just give it a little bit of overdrive and kind of just warm it all up with that analog warmth that the overdrive can offer. I don't usually like doing this. I don't usually think it's a good idea to send every track into the effects track on the Syntakt, unless you're just using the distortion to kind of like the analog heat. Otherwise, it's not usually a good idea to do this. So don't take this as something to do all the time. But I think it will work for the ambient track that we're working on here. So let's just see. good. It's quiet down, the ocean waves are a bit prominent. Human program. What's up? All right, I think we're at a pretty good spot. I do want there to be more bass to that bassy tone that's coming in. It might be my headphones, honestly, that maybe it's better for you guys on, if you're listening on speakers, maybe you hear it better. The clicks and pops bother me. I'm actually gonna try something really quick. I've noticed that my Syntakt is needing to be restarted more often than my other boxes. So I'm just gonna restart it really quick and then we'll just come right back into this this program. See if it fixes those clicks and pops, because it did fix the clicks and pops for me before. I think it's an oscillator calibration thing. Let's see. No, it's not the case. Okay, now we need some like random plucks, because this is gonna be, it sounds really repetitive and boring, and with these random plucks we're gonna get some much more exciting stuff. So let's get out of the analog zone and get more into the digital world here. One of the best sounding engines on here is this great toy engine. Fantastic for ambient sounds. Let's see, let's play with it for a sec. It's just beautiful. I love some of the engines in the Syntakt are so cool, and you don't have them in any other Elektron boxes that are currently available. Some of these sounds you could get closer to with like machine drum, but the Syntakt's got this covered, and this is their physical modeling engine. I'm pretty sure it's based off of their FM engine with something added to it. It's FM plus noise and filters. That's not something that's normally in an FM engine, is noise on top of it. Usually you just FM it until it turns into noise. Whereas this actually just has raw noise that you can just mix right into your sound. Let's actually give it more delay. Okay, so we are going to play with these 64 steps and at half scale. And I'm just gonna place down steps while the sequence is playing and find notes that I like and just put them on random spots. And then we're going to adjust the trigger probability and just bring the probability way down. But for now, we're gonna leave it at 100%. Copy this page and kind of adjust. We can shift it around, holding function and pressing the arrow keys, move the sequence around too. Whoa, I actually really like that. Definitely play with the panning on all of them. That one to a new step, duplicate it. Now that we have some like nice sounds that we can work with to make this go quicker, we can just start copying some sounds and just moving them to these new pages because we already know that we like them. So let's just grab them and head over to this page. It's random, it's ambient, it's gonna be probability anyway. We don't need to know exactly what's happening. We just know that we already know that we like those sounds. Maybe actually add that one here. All right, let's do the probability. Bring it down pretty low. Let's try 30% and see how it sounds. Ambient bliss. Pellegrino. Sponsor me. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what kind of plan it is. So we can go function yes, and now we can play with control all. See if we can find some really cool stuff. Ridiculous. Got some good stuff here. Let's get some more stuff going. I think we could use another synthesizer sound. I mean, it's all going to be synthesizer sounds, but I think we could use another, like, not plucky sound, but another, like, long attack, but a higher pitch one. Here's what we'll do. We're going to go to our... We're going to kind of stack. We're going to make some duophonic chords here. So we're going to copy this track. I think we used this... Did we use this track yet? Oh, perfect. Let's use another analog track. paste that track. Now we have two of the same track. Let's see what happens when we just bring this up an octave. Whoa, 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 whoa. Go back here, copy that sound first. Well, let's have it be panned in the other direction. Was this one panned? The notes were panned. Are these notes panned? Okay, let's pan them the other way. So they'll hit on the opposite sides. All right. All right. We're gonna change the notes on this track too. Probably the whole sound of it. Yeah. Okay. Let's go C6. I always want to go minor, like I just love the sounds of like darker or minor sounds. We have to have a second LFO going to the tune, get some vibrato. We actually want to do that on the other one too. What's up with that? Filter? Page 1. Good night, Alex. All right, we haven't even touched the tempo yet. Let's slow this down. Take it down to like 90. haven't tried using the swarm synth on an ambient piece yet. We're gonna modulate the pan on this one. Slow this down 1/4 scale. Leave it on the C, actually. Started with crashing waves, but now the beach is in space. I like that. Let's make that note like bend or something. Here we go, like here. Let's go function yes. Or let's okay, copy. Make this trigger 1 of 2. We're gonna really add some variation. Copy that note, paste it, microtime it all the way back over. Make this one 2 of 2. Let's do the same thing on this other note we had. Okay, this will be 1 of 2. I've did a function yes, so we have a temporary save state. Let's see what happens if we like really mess with like the tune. Let's bring the whole thing down like an octave. Let's hear how this goes. Ooh. We've only used a few of the tracks so far. You want to see something cool? So we have our ambient track, right? I'd say that this sounds pretty full. It sounds very ambient, quite cinematic. It's a sound that I really enjoy using. Now, what do you do with this? Like, what do you do with your ambient track? You can't have just ambient tracks. I mean, you can, but if you're out playing like a dancey gig with your Elektron boxes and you got this ambient piece in here, is it an opener? Is it a closer? Is it like in between your set, like a break for people to like maybe inches people out of a chair if there's chairs and up to the stage to look at what you're doing? But where will you go from here? There is a cool place to go from here. So if we go over to our analog engine, our analog effects track, and take out one of these tracks that we're not using. We're not using 4 or 5. So let's remove 4 and 5 from here. Let's go over to track 4 and let's make it into just a kick drum. See if we can just find like a nice kick to use right here. UK bass drum sounds like it would go pretty well with this ambient sound. All right, here we go. We're gonna put this kick drum down 4 on the floor, but we're gonna sidechain the kick drum. Okay, here we go. Or maybe we'd even just have it go 2, like, just like that. Let's go to our effects track, go into our effects track, and just put some triggers down here. Bring this depth up. We want this to be at about 16-ish. Well, we can start with 32 and see how it sounds. I know it's like we went through the ambient tutorial, consider that complete, and now we're taking that ambient music and we're going forward. Let's go to track 5. I feel like we need some triplet hi-hats. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Down to 24. Give me 16 steps of that. We could actually slow that down even further to triplets. We could go like that, put another one here, and say that this one is to the left a little bit. Let's record that. going to be a much harder hitting snare than that. Okay, this is track 3. Let's remove that too. Square wave, 1 multiplier, 16, trigger. Oof. Yes. Just lovely, isn't it? Okay, now a word from our wonderful sponsor, DistroKid, because we love DistroKid, because DistroKid allows me to do these streams more often, because then I don't have to do my other kind of work. So let's check it out. What I want to talk about is DistroKid's super cool sound lock called Distro Lock. What's cool about Distro Lock is that you are able to upload your music to DistroKid, and it will make a sound profile of your music, and then they delete your music from their database. I mean, because DistroKid doesn't need your music. They make a sound profile, so a little acoustic fingerprint of your music, and then they use that to search for anybody who might be using your music and make sure that you get your royalties and or you can stop them from using your music. This way, people can't steal your music. And this is a service that DistroKid offers. And signing up for it is completely free, which is awesome. It's just another way that DistroKid becomes this like very affordable, what is it, like $20 a year, one-stop shop for distribution for independent artists. Especially great for bedroom artists such as myself, who are working in a home studio, but still want to be able to put their music out. And if somebody uses it, I will know. And that's really great. So thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring this stream, and DistroLock, you're a pretty cool service. We appreciate you very much taking care of us artists. Wasn't that a wonderful little sponsorship ad? I've talked about this before on stream. I do get emails pretty regularly, especially lately, but I get pretty regular emails from people wanting to sponsor video content on my channel. And I pretty much say no 95% of the time. I don't know, almost the entire time. But I will always say yes to a service that I personally use. I personally use DistroKid. I mean, if Squarespace messaged me, was like, we want to sponsor you, I'd be like, yeah, I use Squarespace. I love that platform. That's a fantastic web platform. So stuff like that, if I personally believe in it, I actually use it, I have no problem telling people to also use it. But if I don't use your service and you're looking to get a sponsorship on my channel, I'm not really interested. Unless you can prove to me that like you're actually good or useful or badass. I don't want to do it. Back to our ambient tutorial here. Like for instance, I got a sleeping mask sponsorship recently where they wanted to have me do that. I didn't say yes to it because I don't use sleeping masks. And also, what does that have to, I mean, maybe it has something to do with this ambient tutorial. I guess a sleeping mask might work in combination with the Syntakt doing some ambient, but otherwise, it doesn't have anything to do with electronic music and hardware live performances. It just doesn't. So I don't care. Yes, thanks, DistroKid. This is what I'm talking about. Sleeping masks and ambient, though. It is a combo. I might have been wrong about the sleeping masks all along. Big mistake on my part. So I like where we went with this. Let me show you the original ambient song that inspired people to say, hey Matt, will you please make a tutorial on how you did that? So let's jump over to it really quick. And this is how it starts. This is how I like to open up my live shows. Pretty regularly I open them up with this track because it lets people kind of just like mosey in, like speakers are booming with this audio. And it invites people to come in and be like, hey, pay attention, here comes some music. I put on an event once a month called Mod Bang. It's the name of my cable company, which is another cool thing. I do have something really cool coming up that I'm gonna share with you guys. So listen to this ambient track while I grab it. Pretty, right? It's got a lot of the same sounds, a lot of the same techniques that I just showed you. So I was trying to show you how to do this. I'm like really riding the fader when it comes to my audio in the live streams right now, because a lot of times the music in live streams is like way quieter than I want it to be, and my voice is very easy for me to read the fader. It's like it's always hitting at the right moment, you know. It's always hitting at like -5 dB, and the Syntakt is, you know, so dynamic in the sounds that it's making that it's a hard time. I have a hard time judging how much gain to give it for the live streams, so it can be kind of a pain in the butt. What I want to show you are these. You can see, you might be able to see the logo in there. It's kind of hard to see. There you go. There's a nice view of it. See, it says Modbang right there. It's beautiful. There's a nice little Modbang logo here. It has an inlay on it for rubber pads. There will be another inlay for rubber pads on top, as well as VESA cutouts for doing VESA mounts. What this does, and these will be for sale on my website if you're interested, you put them on your Elektron boxes. You don't put them on all your Elektron boxes, that would kind of defeat the purpose. But you put them on your Elektron boxes, and it's very sturdy, and it raises them up. So it's still flat, so it's ergonomic. I don't want tilted ones, we want this. And it makes it so, look at this. Cables. So the reason why you don't put them on every Elektron box is because what's the point? What's the point of having them all elevated? That doesn't make any sense. You put it on a couple Elektron boxes, and that way the cables from this box in front of it, or the box behind, or whatever, can go underneath it. And so you can fit more stuff on your desk. And I had my buddy design it for me, and then and now we're producing them, so we're gonna have them all come with VESA screws and all that, and some stickers and cute stuff. It's cool. It's very cool. I'm very hyped on it because I do think it's actually great. I've been using it now for a couple of weeks. It's made it so I can fit more stuff on my table. And oh my gosh, it's so much easier to like, it's such a nicer look to not have all the cables just like strewn about with a million Elektron boxes. They're like hidden underneath here. And it's really nice. So I use it with my Octatrack, which is very large, so it can hide a lot of synthesizers cables. You had me at stickers. Yeah, so this is cool. I will, I'll let everybody know on in the Discord and on my YouTube community chat thing, whatever, that they're available, and y'all can pick them up if you'd like. I know you want to because it's sick. And like, it was really helpful to me. So I don't know, maybe you won't, but I think it's cool and I use it. And even if nobody else liked it, I'd keep using it because it works. And if it works, it's worth it, and you're worth it. But I don't want to use it right now because its purpose is literally to make it so that cables aren't present. And I don't have any other boxes, so who cares? I don't need it. It's a utility, not a look. It's not for the look, it's for the utilitarian nature of the device. So with this opening ambient track, I was talking about this one, I bring all those elements in very slowly, and the way I do it is I'll have them mostly muted, but a lot of times I have the final volume, like if I unmute these, if we go function no, here we go. So if I unmute these, what I do is I go to the track, I look at its level, I just like bump the encoder so it shows me the track level, and then I mute it. I unmute it for on this track, I unmute it, and I remember 84 is the level I like, and then we go like this. And during a live show, I slowly bring this up to 84. But I know I'm bringing it up to 84 because that's the sweet spot in the mix. There we go. So that way it's very natural instead of it just like appearing in the performance, it's fading in. That's something that's really hard to get used to doing, for me at least, to remember. I'm like, I kind of be like, oh shoot, I forgot. I needed to bring this element in. I just unmute it and then it's like, bam, here it comes. Feels really sudden. Fading things in can be really nice. Sometimes sudden's really good, but in this case, ambient stuff, sudden's not always great. So yeah, I do that with a lot of the elements. And just like we did with the other track, it turns into, well, usually I have the dig attack here. It has the drums and the kick and the snare and the hats are on the dig attack. But a kick, a snare, and a hat come in and start driving this track. And then as soon as I do that for like a minute or two, I go into my actual set. And that's how I open up the Modbang shows, is with this pretty little ambient track on the Syntakt. What will we be working on, 5? I think this turned out great. I know the title of this video says Syntakt Ambient Tutorial, but I feel like we did that already and that it's appropriate for us to leave ambient. We're gonna lure people in to watch this with our ambient tag in our YouTube video description, and they're gonna leave not listening to ambient, but listening to this shoegazy whatever. What do they even call this genre? What happens when you add drums to ambient? New Age? Yeah. Hysteric subjects. Your question is, will this be good in a Gator case? I just played a show with the Gator case in the stands. So yeah, but I did actually take the stand and put them flat. So I did, because it won't work in a Gator case because it puts it up too high. So you do have to just pop it underneath when you play the show. So you just leave all the cables running through the bridge of the stand. I do think New Age is probably the right answer for that. Let me answer some of the questions in the chat here. Sorry for ignoring you, my lovely friends. Sounds good, Brian? Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you. Milk Duds. Oh, nice. I've been looking for something like this. I like to put my key step in front. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, is this ambient? It was ambient, Toby. Listen. Listen to what you missed out on. Let's get those sidechain pumping sounds out of here. Here we go. I feel like that's appropriate for YouTube. Cat palm? Is that what this plant is? Are you ready? Now we're gonna bring some drums in. Yeah. Time to get a cat. We're talking about it, maybe. Pat calm. Syntakt is pretty rad, right? I really do like the Syntakt quite a bit. Yeah, playing my guitar over this is definitely ideal. I'm not set up to do that right now on stream, but yeah, this is a great thing to like. We got a microcosm over here. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do it right now. It's not set up to do it, and we've already been streaming for an hour and a half, but I do have the, well, I have the Lyra 8 running into the microcosm, and I was experimenting with what would it sound like to run the Lyra 8 into the microcosm, like making a really noisy but very stereo sound because it needs stereo. It's very, it's a mono instrument, the Lyra. And it works really well. It's a really good idea. So anyone else who has a Lyra and in a microcosm, I recommend that you run your Lyra into your microcosm. I do have What's everybody's take on Mood Mark II? Is anybody looking to buy a Mood Mark II? I do have one on pre-order. I'm kind of excited for the Mood Mark II. I do feel like it kind of plays in the same pond as the Microcosm does. Like there's gonna be a lot of overlap with both those instruments, or both those effects. I guess they're instruments really, because they're pretty complex. There's quite a bit of overlap with them. I don't know which one's gonna prevail. Maybe I'll just keep them both. You accidentally bought a Genloss V2, so you gotta wait for a Mood Mark II. Yeah, Genloss V2 looks really nice. I think so I'm thinking like the Mood Mark II, Genloss V2, Shallow Water. These are becoming like real classic effects, really good send effects with the Octatrack. But I'm thinking of using the Shallow Water as my chorus. I got this from my buddy at work, Carl. Shout out to you, Carl. To use the Shallow Water as the chorus for my TB03. So I think that'll be a pretty unique TB03 sound. It'll sound pretty warbly and lo-fi, but also very warm because the Shallow Water drives the signal. It definitely warms signals up. Actually brings the noise floor up quite a bit. I kind of don't like that part. But, I mean, in a live performance, noise floor doesn't matter. But in terms of like recording a track, it can be a little frustrating having noise floor like that. And on other positive news, the Dirty Wave M8 released V3 in its final form, 3.0.1 or whatever, and super awesome, amazing firmware. The M8 continues to be one of the best instruments released in the last couple of years, rivaling the Syntakt, Digatone, and Digitact in terms of how amazing it is, for sure. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. And I also, just talking at this point, something I discovered I really like. So my Prophet 5, that's something I saved up. I bought a Prophet 5 years ago when they first came out, and it's my favorite sounding synthesis. It's my favorite synthesizer. It's one of my favorite things that I own. I love it. I have it set up in my living room. It's not in the studio. It's furniture. It's a beautiful thing. Like you want it to be seen all the time. And I have it set up running into some Yamaha NS10Ms, the real deal, old 10Ms. They work perfectly. They sound just like 10Ms, which don't sound amazing. They do sound good. They sound better than like computer speakers. They sound good, but the point of 10Ms nowadays. You use a 10M as a reference speaker to, if it sounds good on the 10Ms, it's going to sound good everywhere else. That's the idea with 10Ms. But also, it's an old vintage speaker, so it sounds really good with this old vintage synth, and it's very full. It's very good sound. And I have that out in my living room, and I have the headphone output running into the OP1 field, which samples at 32-bit. I don't think it's 32-bit floating point, like that'd be cool, but it's 32-bit, so it's got a high dynamic range. Samples are really, really clean on the OP1 field. It's probably its best feature is its sampling capability. That's always been everybody's favorite part about the OP1, I think, to begin with. It wasn't the synth engines, which sound a lot better in the field. Don't get me wrong, they do. But the sample engine just sounds even better, right? Because you can sample some really robust analog synthesizers. So I have the OP1 field playing drums, and then I play the Prophet 5 and just hit record on the OP1 field. It records the Prophet 5 into the OP1 field's tape. It sounds so good. And then I grab my acoustic and just jam over it in the living room, with your dog on the couch. It's a vibe. It's like this vibe. It's a vibe. Oh, I'd love to play the Rhodes into the microcosm. If only I could play keys very well. That is why so I'm a guitar player. I played guitar for a long time. I have neuropathy. It's something that's, I don't know if it's something I was born with and it's just getting worse and worse, but it continues to get worse, and my ability to use my hands is getting more limited every year, which totally sucks, but fortunately step sequencers are something I love, so I really enjoy. I'm still able to make music, you know, but I can still play guitar pretty well, and it's just harder to play keys. But anyway, my point is I play guitar. I've played guitar for a very, very long time. It's always been my number one passion. I studied jazz guitar, and I can play all right. I used to be able to play a lot better, that's for sure. But I bought a Star Labs MIDI guitar, and it's called the Zetar, and the Z stands for zero latency. And so I bought it because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make some really complex music using the Zetar, and I'm gonna program my synthesizers with my guitar because I can literally express my exact sound thought. The notes I want to play, I can express them with that MIDI guitar. I know I can, because if I can think a sound, I can play it on the guitar. If it's like do 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 do, you know, I'm gonna be able to do that. If it's a chord that I can think of, I can do that. So I'm gonna use it when it gets here. I'm supposed to be here weeks ago. I guess the Star Labs guy is very, very busy. So it's like a month late, to be honest, which is a bummer because I really wanted it, but or I wanted it sooner than later. I wanted it before I played this NAMM show. Yeah, I guess that's something to talk about. If anybody's going to NAMM, I'm going to be there. I'll be inside NAMM, literally going around talking to vendors and other vendors, I guess, talking to developers, I guess is a better way to put it. Talking to developers on both Modbang, my cable company's behalf, but mostly on Patchwork's behalf, just chatting with different, like I'm gonna meet up with Endorphins and hopefully Daniel Troberg from ASM and just talk about them, like, you know, their products in our shop and what's coming up, what's new, doing all that kind of thing. So hopefully I'll have some news to come back and report to all of my friends who visit the EZBOT YouTube channel and the EZBOT Discord. But I'm also playing a show. I'm playing with Travarsi, or Travarsi's Southern California Synth Collective. And I think the person that I recognize the most on the section that I'm playing with Sarah Longfield, which is cool because I've seen her YouTube channel several times, and she's a really stellar guitar player, and also plays with like the Pauline Trackers. So that's kind of cool. That's the person who I knew the most, so forgive me if anyone else who's on that bill. I am playing with somebody I was talking to on Instagram, and then they were like, oh yeah, I'm playing that show with you. I was like, oh, I felt really bad about that. Kara or something. Anyhow, I hope that if anybody's down there, come to the show and say hi to me, please. Please, for God's sake, I'm going there by myself. I don't know anyone. So if you know me in any capacity, you'll be a friend in that moment. There's no doubt. All right. Well, it has been an hour and a half. I usually do about 2 hours. It's Friday night. I'm gonna go spend Friday night with my partner and my dog. I hope you enjoyed this. Actually, I don't know my switch camera over here. I'll switch camera back here. I hope you enjoyed the Syntakt Ambient tutorial. We started off with crashing ocean waves and moved on to the fake arpeggiator, which sounds real nice. Don't remember to do that 2x speed. Don't forget to do that at 2x speed. Don't remember. This is why I gotta stop now and go do something else. Long attack, long sequences, probability, use your trig conditions to add some variety, lots of reverb, expand your delay, play with the toy engine. It's really nice in here for doing ambient stuff. Modulate the chord synthesizer on here just to make an underlying pad. Maybe even filter that. I didn't filter it. That was something I probably should have gone back in and filtered a little bit. Greetings from Redmond, Washington. What's up, Redmond, Washington? How's it going? We're like 10 minutes from each other. Very cool. I'll finish answering these questions, then I am gonna go. Yes, you can do this stuff with the model cycles and the model samples. Absolutely. Yeah, you can do it with the Digitact, the Syntakt, the Digatone, the Octatrack, analog rhythm, analog 4, any Elektron sequencer, you can do what I did here. There's nothing, the special thing about this in particular is the sounds the Syntakt delivers. But the sequencing techniques I used, none of that is unique to the Syntakt. That's all Elektron. So yeah, you can do it on any Elektron box, just follow those simple steps, and then add that to your arsenal. That Arp, the undulating Arp technique, I use that in tons of tracks. It's super cool. Like, it's just a cool sound to have. Like, maybe it's really light, maybe you have it really filtered out, so you barely hear it, like coming in and out, but it's there, just floating around, adding some ambiance to your house track or something. I use it all the time. I love it. I think it sounds great. You know what gear you need? What do I need? Tell me. I'm curious. Because I'm not like super excited about anything in particular. I was really excited about the Osmos and the Expressive E Osmos keyboard. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a keys player. I'm not a great keys player. I can play chords and notes. Like, I can do it in time, but I'm not like, you know, I'm not that guy. I'm a guitar dude. And I was like, this is a good keyboard for me because it's more about the expression, you know, pushing down on the keys, jiggling them left and right, getting some weird stuff out of it. And it sounds great. And I got to play it for the first time today. I have to say, I'm no longer jonesing for it. Not because it doesn't sound great, it does. But it is very expressive and very cool. But I realized I was just kind of telling myself that was going to be the thing. Like this thing that like made things easier from like sounds that were in my head to get into my samplers. It was going to happen because this thing was going to do it for me. I played it and I was like, I can really do these sounds like, you know, it does some stuff that other synths can't do. It does. There's no doubt. MPE, I don't have that much stuff that does MPE, but it wasn't going to like change my game. So that gas has now been left. That has left my body and my soul. But now I'm kind of like, what am I jonesing for? I really want that MIDI guitar. I do want the Mood Mark II, although I'll probably not use it very much. It's kind of like what I do with Steam games. I go on a Steam sale, I buy a bunch of games, I install them, and then I don't play them. I don't even boot them up. Like, not even like one time sometimes. I have a whole catalog of games that says 0 minutes played. Like, what is wrong with me? I don't know. Anyway. Thanks again to DistroKid. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Really appreciate you. I still plan on streaming this Sunday, so maybe we're gonna get a double whammy of streams. I just, I had the energy to do this tonight, so it had to be done, and you know, feels good. Feels good to hang out and make music. We made a track. Maybe I'll master it and put it on DistroKid. We could name it after the night. 3/31/2023. Nobody would listen to a track called that. That's stupid. All right. Thank you, everyone. I will maybe see you this Sunday at 7 o'clock for another stream. If not, I'll see you in the next video or at the next Mod Bang show, which is the last Tuesday of every month at 7 o'clock at the 4Bs. If you're interested, if you live local, or if you're coming to town around the last Tuesday of the month and you're a hardware electronic music producer, hit me up. My email is EZBOT84@gmail.com. I don't care who knows my email. Please don't email me unless you're really got like something to actually email me for. But if you want to play a show, hit me up and I'll get you on a bill. All right. I'll see y'all later.